Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Jen Misiak. Today, I'm going to share a little bit of what's been going on under the surface or in my world under the weight. So in the last episode, I shared a little bit about not feeling good and because of the candida overgrowth and foods I can't eat and things like that. And there's been a couple other things I shared that I wanted to talk about here. And I've been doing a lot of EFT, which also stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And I've been going through to kind of use that as a way to help me with my weight. I have reached a weight that I'm not proud of. I'm not actually even prepared to share that number with you because it's still painful for me. And I'm sharing this right now because I really do believe it's important to share through the journey, not at the end, because then you don't get to feel my feelings and the emotional process. So I do like to share as I go through something and not just wait till I get to the end, because I don't know when the end's going to be. I've been struggling with my weight off and on for quite some time. I've done diets and things like that. I think I was 12 or 13. I had some really bad body image things that a lot of us go through. I didn't have any self-esteem or self-love and things like that. And I didn't have the best role models in that area. Anyways, however, I was never really large. I look back going, what was I thinking? And I did have some highs and lows. But even when I met my husband, I was at a really good, healthy weight. I was feeling good. And then, I fell in love, and I fell in love so much that I didn't take care of me anymore. I got so lost in the world of us instead of, we're both two individuals. So anyways, I've been working on a lot of that. And I've reached a weight, and like I said, I'm not going to share the number right now, but just to give you some perspective, because I do want to share and be open with you, is I'm at a weight that I never even weighed when I was pregnant with either child. I came close, I think, with my second, with my son, but I never reached that point because I was really, really, really focused on not being that high, because that number made me really feel sad. So I'm already still having to make peace with that number, being just acceptance and aware. I'm aware because I stepped on the scale, but it's accepting that number itself. And I have been there in the past, back and forth. However, right now, it just doesn't seem to want to move. So I've been so without going into too much crazy of the dieting and things like that, I don't believe in diets anymore. I do believe in eating healthy and loving foods, but it's also about preparing it, eating it in a loving way, and things like that. So there's a lot there. However, so I'm eating foods that are quite nutritious and not overeating or snacking or any of that. I'm really listening to my body, and I'm moving my body. So it's not those things, right? So it's just, anyways, so I've been really going deeper with this. I know sleep is so important. I've really lost that a long time ago, where I didn't realize that sleep was so important for weight loss. And just not even so much weight loss, but just healthy, being mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, all the healthy, right? Sleep and managing stress. So I've really, really been focusing on feeding my body in a loving way. And then it gets a little tricky there because I know I'm still healing my overgrowth of candida in my gut. And so certain foods, will feed that. And so to me now, it's about really listening to my body. So it's pausing. And so when I have a rash outbreak and I'm like, oh, what did I eat today or the past couple of days? That might have set that off, because I can't maintain, if you ever look up a candida diet, I can't maintain that and eat healthy because there's so much food on there that I can't eat. And I was feeling really deprived and really angry and frustrated. So I've taken a step back from that, and instead I'm really trying to be more in tune to my body personally, looking at the list of foods, gauging it, and really staying away from they have the yes foods, the maybe that work for some people, and then the no foods. So it's really staying away from that. But honestly, the no foods, those are foods that most people, like, it's a thing to stay away from for the most part anyways, like lots of sugars and stuff. But anyway, I'm digressing onto a different conversation. So let me bring it back. Anyway, so I've been struggling. I've been working with tapping. And it was funny because I was feeling pretty good, other than the fact that I wasn't loving the fact that what I was doing wasn't helping me release any weight. I'm like, what's going on? Like, why can't I feel better? Because like my clothes keep me feeling tighter and tighter. So like, I don't always base everything on a scale. I talked about that in another episode where it's like making peace with the scale. It's just information. And you can love your body at any size. I really do believe that. But me personally, I don't feel good right now. I don't feel healthy. So it's not so much about the weight itself. It's about feeling healthy. I have joint pain and things like that. I would like to be more flexible. So I just want you to know that I'm not just focusing about the weight here. Is like the physical sense. But it's just everything else that comes with it. I'm always more sluggish. Like I'm almost carrying a second me around. I have a really small frame. So I know it's not healthy for me to be at this size. So for me personally, like I just don't feel good. So it's about me not feeling good. I want to make that clear. Because it's about loving yourself where you are at the moment. Last episode, I talked about awareness and acceptance and the willingness to change and things like that. So it is really important. And it's doing it for the right reasons. I want to be healthy. I want to live to see my children grow up. I haven't been able to run and play with them as much as I would like to. I love to be that mom, to like run out and do things. I look at my grandma who still exercises and she's in her 90s. So I really, it's focusing on health for me. And I don't feel healthy right now. So as much as I talked about the weight, I don't love that number either, to be honest, because it's how I'm feeling with that weight. Even if I lost 20 pounds, I know I'd feel better because I have been 20 pounds lighter and felt at least more energetic. And because for me, it feels like I'm carrying a lot of baggage around. And because of the freedom technique, I actually realized I am. So it's fun. Like I said, I was feeling pretty good. And then I was like, well, I have this course about like, that I signed up for a long time ago. And it was just, it's something I can come back to. And I decided, let's have a look at this again, because I never really fully finished it or anything like that. So I decided to go right from the beginning to the end, even though a lot of it didn't really feel like it was me. Like I'm not a binge eater, like an emotional eater and things like that most of the time. I do know that I do stress eat sometimes, and I do stress drink. I do. That laugh was for the truth. Anyways, so I do occasionally do things, but I'm pretty mindful of it. Like I am very aware. Anyway, so I'm still doing all the steps. But as I did this, something happened. And I actually was like cracked wide open, and so many emotions came out that it was ugly. Like super cry, like ugly in a good way. I don't want to be negative here, but it was ugly. It was emotions that I didn't even realize were there. Because I did put on the weight about 6 months to 8 months after meeting my now husband, I have a lot of resentment there. And it's not his fault, but I do have resentment there. So it's things I need to work on myself, and then things that will help our relationship build stronger. And it's just realizing these things. But I realize that I carry other people's baggage, people's thoughts, feelings, and then I've been lugging it around. So this weight isn't just on my body. It's like weighing me down emotionally. So I realize that it's an emotional baggage I've been carrying around. So with opening this all up, I realized like, oh my goodness. So what do I do about this? Well, the tapping is helping. However, it just keeps bringing up more emotions for me. It's like I opened a bottle and it's exploding everywhere of emotions. And it's good because I'm like, clearly I've been carrying them around for a while. And as an empowerment coach, I'm like, wow, I didn't see this one coming. It just like, emotions. And I realized that I have some letter writing to do because like I said, it's almost like I'm carrying another me. And I really am. I'm carrying all these old beliefs in myself, these ideas that I had that I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm a recovering people pleaser. So I've carried a lot of garbage along my way. And I thought I let a lot of it go. And I think I did. But like I said, there's still a lot that I'm like, wow, that the tapping has really brought up for me. Because it's like, ooh, that was buried. So I'm sharing this with you today because weight isn't just what we eat and how we live our lives. Like physically, are we moving? It goes deeper than that. And I don't know if I shared this story with you before, but I'm going to share this now. Because like I said, when I met my husband, I was like at my best. I was like a size 6. I felt so good. I felt good. I don't even care what the scale said. I just know I felt really good. And after meeting my husband, I met him in January, and then we were just having a good time. And I don't know when I put on the weight, but I know like the summer months came and I was wearing a lot of summer dresses, light fitting clothing, other free flowing clothing. So I didn't really notice anything. But come the fall, I couldn't put on my jeans. I was like, what happened? Like I was just having so much fun. I got caught up in the romance, the love, the excitement of newness. And I got a little lost. So right then, of course, I tried to pivot. Nothing seemed to work. I remember being in a yoga class and one of the people in the class were like, "Are you pregnant?" And I was like, no, because I was putting on weight in my stomach. I'm like, oh, that felt good. Like not. Anyways, so then my supportive, amazing husband suggested at the time that I go see a doctor and see about my thyroid, like see if there's something that is preventing me from losing weight. And the doctor ran some tests and I came back and he's like, well, you're low on B12 and a few other things I'm low on. He never really mentioned how to fix that. However, he's like, it's calories in versus calories out. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. I'm a fitness instructor. I know the math. Thank you. Anyways, since then, like I can't stand that phrasing because it's not just calories in, calories out. It is stress. It is, if you have bacteria in your gut that's preventing you from releasing weight or keeping things balanced. There is so much. And then not even knowing at the time, but B12, like I had no energy because I didn't have enough B12. So it was just at that time, I would have, back at the time, I wish I would have known about naturopaths because I could have taken the natural route. However, at the time, I did not know. And, we can't do what we don't know, right? So it's not about beating myself up in that moment, but it's about knowing differently now. And it's not even about just sleep and things like that. It's definitely important, but it's also emotions. Like I mentioned, like it's emotional eating. We can emotionally eat. We can emotionally zone out too. Binge watching a whole series of something on Netflix or anything like that. Like we can just completely check out of life because we don't want to feel it. And clearly I've been keeping some feelings, tucked some places all over the place for quite some time because as I tapped and I'm continuing to tap through this, so much is coming up. And memories of things like my childhood, things that I thought I healed. But clearly I've put a little here and a little there of memory, like remembering, and I'm storing it on my body. So if you've been struggling with weight and you are eating healthy and you're moving your body, don't beat yourself up. Like that's another thing I've been trying to love myself through is feeling like I failed because I'm eating well and moving my body. Like I used to work out 6 days a week, like intense workouts. And then the scale never moved. And now looking back then, I actually felt good, like in my body. I didn't love the weight on the scale because it's not the number I would have liked to have seen. But the me now looks back at that going, okay, I was working out a lot, so my stress levels were really low. And that's what I've discovered, because there was a time in my life where I actually stopped working out because I was told it doesn't help lose weight. and it's true. Ish. Let's go with ish. I don't know if I believe that anymore. I just realized. So I stopped because I'm like, well, what's the point of doing it if it doesn't make me lose weight? However, I discovered that fitness is not about the weight. Eating healthy is not about the weight. It's about feeling good. So once you make peace with just feeling good, last episode, I was talking about the affirmation, I choose to feel good. It's about making decisions to feel good. So I mentioned that I don't love the weight I'm at because I don't feel good. I am so tired. I'm so exhausted, and I just don't feel really good. So nowadays, it's more about focusing on feeling good. I work out because I want to feel good. Like I go on my weekly walks with my friend for many reasons. One, it's social. Two, is I get to talk to somebody. We just share things. Something's going on and we share. Get out into forests. It's just so amazing, nature. I also know that moving my body helps me manage my stress. I have 2 children. I have a husband. I'm living life. Like there are stressors around. And I think I mentioned this in a different episode, but I had it with my oldest, a conversation a while back going, we can't control everything in our life and we can't control the stress that comes into our life. However, we can manage how we react to stress in our life. So it's stress management. So when you're moving your body and loving it in ways, meditating and all this beautiful things to feel good, it helps you regulate emotions and your feelings, and not even so much not feeling it, but reacting to it differently. So that's a big one, right? I am a very emotional person. I've held on to my emotions for many, many years, and now they're open and they're wild and free and roaming and quite powerful at times. And if I'm not taking care of myself in a loving way by moving my body, getting enough sleep, meditating, and doing all these beautiful things for myself, when something happens, I react in not a loving way. So when I get triggered, I'll be like angry and frustrated. And I will be like really short triggered. However, if I'm really taking care of myself, I'm moving my body daily and just loving myself and sleeping well and all this stuff in a loving way, I can react a lot better. It doesn't mean that I'm not feeling those things, but I can react better. I can do it in a more loving way instead of a triggered, blow up in people's faces way. Hope that makes sense. So it's about peeling back the layers. And if you have been struggling with your weight, it's first understanding that it's not all about you. Like you're not a failure. You're not a failure here. And it's not about being perfect either. That's a big one that I've discovered recently, is that it's not being about perfect. It's about showing up where you are right now. But it's peeling back the layers. When did that weight come on? What was happening in your life? What was showing up for you then? What is something that you might have kind of put off? Like for me, like sometimes usually it's a negative something, like something's happened in your life that, impacted you in a negative way. It was a negative event, or something you might be like a sad event. For me, it was a happy one. I was so happy I got lost in romance and love and newness. And then even once I was become aware, I didn't figure out what the emotions were behind it. I had a really supportive boyfriend, like my now husband, and yet things were still going on. Now, I managed to actually keep that weight about the same just by working out and eating well, or what I thought well at the time, because I have a different perspective of foods now. Anyways, that's a different conversation for a different day. But the thing is, then I had my first child, and I managed to get back to that weight. And then I had my second one, and he didn't sleep through the night for 2 years. So then I ate a lot of sugar. And like I said, sleep is like a biggie. It's a huge one. Sleep and stress. And I was going through all of it. And then I threw sugar in on it. So there's definitely some things there that really threw in the mix. So if you can tell, I have quite the unpacking of healing to do underneath all that. You know, it's making peace with those days that I literally was like, was so tired that I asked my husband to go get me some donuts, and I just eat them. And I was at that place where I'm like, this is self-love because I need this right now. And at the moment I did believe that. But now I look at it going, I really could have loved myself in a different way. I could have asked for more help with my family and things like that. So but I can't go back, right? There's no going back. So it's taking that pain that's under the weight and making peace with those pains. We can't go back and rewrite the past, but we can learn from it, we can feel it, and we can release it. So again, it's going back to, when did that weight, start showing up in your life? And if you don't know, it's really just thinking about what you think about food even, and your body. We learn so much as children. We take in so much. And we hear so much. Like, my husband and I were having a conversation last night at the dinner table, and my son was in the other room, and, he's doing his own thing, and we're having a conversation. And then I'm like, hey, and I mentioned his name, and he's like, yeah, he's listening. Even though we were in a different room having our own conversation and he was doing his own thing, he was listening to the whole conversation. They're constantly listening. So as we grew up, we were constantly listening. Adults don't always see us, but we were listening. And then sometimes we were directly told things, that we're not smart enough, pretty enough, thin enough. And we take that all in. So if you're here and geared to this one for the pain under the weight because you don't feel good with what your body looks like in the mirror or on the scale, like the number on the scale, the big one is trying to love yourself where you are right now, accepting where you are right now, and that your actions that you did in the past were in the past. Loving yourself there, so then you can slowly peel back the layers. And if you do tapping, if that's something you are into, I highly recommend looking into it. There's tons of videos everywhere and tons of resources. I follow the tapping solution a lot. That's one of my big go-tos. I've also taken some tapping courses and stuff like that too, but the tapping solution is a really big thing. I have their app and things like that. So just a heads up, if you are looking into that area, there are a ton of resources for EFT, emotional freedom technique. Tapping for the rest of the world that's in it. So anyways, and it's like if you don't know what it is, quick rundown. It's acupuncture, but you're not using needles. You're tapping on points. And saying, first it's negative statements, and then you say the positive. So it's really, you're tapping so you can feel those emotions that and then that are coming up, the pain that you're feeling around your weight, or, maybe it comes up after, like in my case, right? And you tap and then you switch it to positive, and it really changes your mood and your energy. Most of the time, I just feel really calm and at peace after tapping. Anyways, so that's just a quick rundown. But that was just part of it for me. Like it just brought up so much. I'm like, right. So yes, I'm tapping, but what else I'm doing is letter writing, journaling. I am going to be journaling on all these moments that have come up where I'm like, wow, that I'm really frustrated around or angry and disappointed about. And then I haven't done it yet because it just came up this week, or actually it was last week. And like I said, the other episode, or was it this one? I'm recording this in June. So it's the end of the school year. So we have quite the schedule of end of school events and things like that. So I am going to make time. Actually, hopefully tomorrow. Tomorrow's my me day. So anyways, to write, I realized that I need to write a letter to this emotional baggage that I've been carrying around so I can let it go, because it's weighing me down. It's weighing me down mentally, physically, and just emotionally. Like it's just weighing me down in life. And I realized that it's time to let it go. Now, sometimes we're not ready. And one of the biggest things I've learned is things will come up to the surface when it's safe and when we're ready to face it and let it go. So now I'm finally able to look at this and start working on ways to let it go. So hopefully that makes sense. So if you're finding that, you're like, maybe there is something under my weight, especially if you're eating well, taking care of your body by sleeping, stress management, you're doing all the things you think you should do, then I would really encourage you to look at yourself in a loving way and just peel back some layers slowly and just lovingly look at things a little bit more. And that's going back to, when did that weight show up in your life? Or again, what happened in your childhood? What were you told? What beliefs were you told about body and self-confidence or lack thereof? Like I have my mom, I love her. However, she doesn't have a lot of self-love. The self-esteem, her self-esteem is not great. So I grew up with that as a role model. And it was not helpful for me, because as a teenager, we all go through these moments where we don't love our bodies, or a lot of the time, I shouldn't say always, but it's that age where we're looking at things, we're looking at magazines. I love reading teen magazines and things like that. And I had these ideas of what I should look like, but I didn't have that role model in my life that said, no, you're beautiful and amazing just as you are, because my mom didn't have that confidence about herself. And there's something I've read or heard recently, I'm not even sure where, but it was this beautiful thing. And just this morning, actually, as my son was leaving for school, he was saying like, oh, his one friend says that fishy crackers aren't good and this and that. And I'm like, well, like, when you come home, we'll look at the ingredients and we can share things. And then I told him what I just was about to share with you was what I read or heard. I can't remember what it was, where it was that I learned it from. But I said, it was, no food is good or bad. It's just that some are more nutritious than others. So we can sometimes get this idea that like, oh, if I eat this, it's bad. Or if I eat this, then I'm good. And then it's this black and whiteness that prevents us from enjoying it all in a loving way. And coming from a place where it's like I had to be perfect. And then if I wasn't perfect, then I might as well not do it at all. Like you get on a diet and it's like, oh, I didn't do it. So then you just stop. And lately I've been really owning my imperfections, where I'm like, I'm human and things are going to happen. Life happens. And it's not about being perfect. It's about doing the best I can where I am. And then just, keep showing up for myself every day. Having this idea of what, I shared about my morning routine last episode. And it's just like, okay, this is what I want it to look like. Slowly make steps towards it. And then if I don't have a day that works out, like I stay in bed late and I don't get it all, I don't fit it all in, I don't beat myself up. I just go, okay, that happened today. I'll try and do better. Like do it, not better. I'll try and do it again tomorrow. right? It's not about giving up just because something didn't work out. And it's that knee-jerk reaction, right? When something doesn't work out, we're like, oh, I might as well throw my hands up in the air and just give up because I can't do it. And that can happen a lot. So it's not these bad and good foods. It's that some foods are just more nutritious than others and loving. And because I have this huge food thing and dieting history, I really try to be mindful of my words around my children. I don't withhold them from having candy or chocolate and things like that. I do tell them that it's a sometimes food. We don't eat it every day because our bodies don't love that. And because I'm healing from the candida overgrowth, I do share that, where it's like it was probably sugar and stress related. So I do share my struggles with them. But I try to do it in a loving way where it's like, well, we're just trying to feed our bodies loving food. Like my oldest is pretty short for their age. Not short, but like everybody's growing around them. And I'm like, it's okay. Like you may hit a growth spurt, you may not. Like I'm only 5'1". So I say in a loving way up to them that, you may be short, but you never know. I was tall in grade 4 or 5, and then everybody else grew above me. So you never know. But the thing is, I was sharing how it's like, just take care of your body in a loving way. It's just about feeding it really good, awesome foods and things like that. So, because they are a little bit of a picky eater. So I try to share, it's just about eating foods that are nutritious. We focus on nutrition in our house, not good and bad, not, we do say sometimes foods though. That's around candy and chocolate, for the most part. And for the most part, like even if I let them just eat what they want, like they're like, how many pieces? I'm like, oh, you judge today. They usually like stop at whatever number they feel comfortable around. And then also a lot of the time our kids are like, ooh, that's too sweet. Like there's been so many times that they eat food they're like, whoa, so they'll stay away from that. So I try to do that, and I'm just sharing with my kids because I don't know. Anyways, I ended up on that trail of thought today. But the thing is, we can do that for ourselves too, right? Like, so I share about food in a loving way to my children. Why can't we do the same for ourselves? Food does not have to be evil, and it's going to be underneath the surface to figure out where the true pain really lies. Because like I said, it's not as simple as an equation. It literally, if it was food in versus energy out, or energy in and energy out kind of thing, most of us would look exactly the way we wanted to. Let's be honest. If it was that simple, but it's not. And I hate to say that because I wish it was as simple as in and out. But there's so many more layers. And a big one is emotions that have been keeping us blocked, stuck, sad. And it is really being mindful of when you eat and how you eat. So if you're eating, and one of the biggest things I started doing was breathing 3 deep breaths before eating. And I love having suppers with my family. However, sometimes it's very stressful. So I've tried to get my kids to be like, okay, guys, like, we're going to calm down at the supper table. They have been getting better at that because I've asked them to. I'm like, I really need a calm environment to be eating my food in a loving way. And, it comes really well because they'll just share about their day. But sometimes they'll be like, I don't like this. I don't like that. And it's like, guys. Anyway, so we're getting them more involved. So it's learning. I'm sharing that because it's about learning what your environment looks like when you're eating. There's people that eat in front of the TV. I'm going to be honest. I do that too. A lot of the time it comes down to loneliness, that you don't want to eat alone. So it's just kind of digging deeper into why you're doing what you're doing when you're eating and how that makes you feel. There's no judgment here. It's about how do you feel when you're doing it? Are you not tasting the food? Are you just like inhaling it? It's taking a bigger look at where your emotions are or what they are really when you're eating and when you're just throughout your day in general, but it's usually eating. And for me, one of the biggest things I've learned recently, not for the emotional side of things because I have shared some of those. But for me, it was the snacking. So I only eat 2 meals a day because I do intermediate fasting, and it's what works for me. And it's something that my naturopath, has been doing that for quite some time. And even my naturopath was like, yeah, that works. And the Ayurveda, actually the type I have actually says like my type is really good for having 2 meals a day. So it just seems right. And it just feels right to me. And it might change down the line. I don't know. It's whenever it feels right to me, right? It feels good. And however, in the afternoon, I sometimes get hungry, or if I don't plan my lunches fillingly enough, then I get hungry in the afternoon. And then that's when I'll grab something that might not be as, healthy or nutritious as I would like, only because I didn't plan to have a snack. So what I've learned is planning is key. So I actually meal plan. We've been doing this since my oldest was probably 6 months old, because then we started really changing our eating around, where we wanted to be really mindful of what we were eating, because we were feeding our child the same food. So we changed a lot back then. And meal planning, like I meal plan the week before. I usually do a couple days before groceries so we can make a grocery list and things like that. The only thing that was missing was I didn't have backup snacks. So now I have it where I don't always plan to have a snack, but if I'm hungry, I have foods that I can grab. Because here's the thing, some of my snacks I used to eat would be apples with peanut butter or banana and peanut butter, but those are 2 fruits that I don't eat right now because of the candida overgrowth. So some of my healthy go-to snacks, and even carrots and hummus, like I stay away from carrots because they're high in sugar for the candida aspect of things. So it's a good snack for most people. But anyways, so just having go-tos, so it's planning. So if you are having troubles with emotional eating, it's planning ahead of time so you know exactly what you're going to eat, so you don't have to think about it. You just do it, take the steps. Because my husband's always like, what are we having for supper tonight? I'm like, I don't know what's on the board, right? Like I plan it, I put it up on the board, and then it's done for the week. Because he's usually the one that cooks. So that's why he's always asking. I'm like, I honestly don't know. I'm like, it's up on the board. So, because I literally don't think about it again until I'm eating it. So, unless we're thinking about what needs to be thawed out of the freezer or something like that. But anyways, let's get back to that weight and the pain. If you're going to dive deeper and peel back those layers, be gentle and loving with yourself and know that you are amazing and lovable right now in this moment. And that whatever happened in the past happened in the past. And it's diving deeper into, maybe you were disappointed, or maybe, it's a belief that you have that you've latched onto. So I really encourage you, if that's something that you're like, oh, that feels pretty true, or it is really true, hits really close to home for you, I encourage you to start journaling about that. And then if tapping seems like something you want to do, or if maybe you're already doing it, I encourage you to investigate that and see if that helps too. And it's just knowing that you are enough right now in this moment. The scale is only a number. How you feel is only a number. What you wear. But it really comes down to wanting to feel good, right? If that's what it is. I know for me, I just want to feel good. So if that's something that feels good to you, start focusing on that. What feels good to you? And, in theory, chips or ice cream or chocolate or whatever you decide to grab onto might feel good in those moments. And I'm not saying don't do it. But if you do find yourself eating those feelings, pause after with no judgment and just feel how you're feeling. Like for me, if I eat certain foods, now I have a gut, I need to heal my gut. So there's different things, but I know if I eat something that's highly processed, like a certain wheat, my gut is really bloated. So it's just being more aware and mindful of how you're feeling. And then keep peeling back the layers of what's showing up for you. I hope that makes sense. And just know that whatever the scale says, whatever the size on your jeans, your clothing says, that does not make you who you are. It does not, the number on the scale does not justify who you are. It's starting to look inward at the past, when the weight showed up in your life, and loving yourself through those steps in that process to really release all those emotions. And if you're anything like me, a people pleaser, or even a recovering people pleaser like I am now, we tend to help other people first, and then we didn't put our own needs first. And there can be a lot of resentment there, a lot of frustration, anger that might be lurking under the surface that you might not even be aware of yet. So take steps slowly and try to do it in the most loving way you can. If you beat yourself up, just be mindful of that and just be like, okay, I'm treating myself like crap right now. Because I have done that. I've treated myself like crap. I shared that in the last episode about, being how to get out of a negative rut, where I was in the middle of feeling things about myself. And I went to an event for a track meet, and I was really beating myself up because everybody was eating hot dogs and all these fun foods, popsicles. And I'm like, I knew that if I ate those things, I wouldn't feel good after. But instead of thinking about that, I was like, why can they eat it and I can't? Right? So we can get in those negative patterns and ideas, and that's okay. Write it down, feel it, and, kind of investigate and figure out where it's coming from. There's no shame or blame in any of this. And if that's what you're feeling, it's time to look at that a little closer. Start, unpacking it a little bit more. I think about myself, and originally I thought emotional weight as just all my skin. But when I write that letter, I'm going to visualize it as this ginormous hiking backpack. And I'm going to write all the things that I have stuffed in it. And I'm going to share all those feelings, and I'm going to let it go. And then I'm going to burn it. So I'm hoping later on I can share with you different things. I'm literally in the thick of all this myself, and I'm just sharing as I go through these processes. It has been quite the roller coaster of highs and lows, especially when I'm feeling a lot of feelings. And unfortunately, my husband has been at in the center of it, poor guy. And, it's having those conversations with the loved ones in our lives so they can understand that it's not about them, that it's about us, even though it might be coming out more the other way. And again, if all else fails, use your motto, I focus on feeling good. And it's just kind of listening to your intuition of what feels good right now. Just getting up and moving, getting off the chair, stretching, walking around, walking down the street, around the block, in the forest, whatever it is for you, going for a swim, whatever feels right to you, but it's focusing on feeling good. But at the same time, it's unpacking those feelings that are underneath the weight. And if you're anything like me, you might have quite the number of feelings. So take it slow. Be gentle and loving with yourself. And do whatever, do it at the speed you feel comfortable. Because if you feel scared, that can be normal. I was I don't want to feel these right now. I remember going through this going why are they showing up right now? It's not the greatest time for me. I'm why are you showing up right now? So I had to make peace with the fact that they're showing up and accepting that they're showing up. And there's even times where I'm okay, I'm going to not tap for a couple days because I need to not feel things they're so intense sometimes that they can feel so overpowering. And then my poor husband gets in the crosshairs of it all too. So, sometimes you have to hit the brakes a little, but don't completely, forget that you matter too, and your feelings and your thoughts and all that pain that's under the weight matters too. So I hope this has helped. It's been a long one. It's been full of a lot of stuff. And just know that if it's really painful, reach out for help, get support with this. There's a ton of people that work with people for tapping. There's tapping peoples, but there's also therapists that work with tapping. There's coaches like myself. And just if you really need support and find a loving way to get support as well. Talking to a friend, you're journaling, journaling's really, really good. Anything that feels good, but it can be scary. And like I said, I was a little overwhelmed by the feelings I was feeling. I'm like, where are you all coming from? All these feelings were just intense. And I haven't felt things like this for a while. So they've been locked up pretty hard somewhere, coming out, possibly my gut, because that's where they've been hiding. And I've been very angry and frustrated with the candida overgrowth and not being able to heal it as fast as I'd like and things like that. So it's about working through those feelings, feeling them, and letting them go. So that's what letter writing's all about. So that's why I encourage you to do that. And that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. So I'm hoping to share more and more about this as I go. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to leave the link in the description, and it will be my contact form on my website. You can contact me and share what's going on with you. I'd love to hear from you. This can be a very challenging and tricky thing. So like I said, a million times already, try to be as loving and gentle on yourself. You're going to have good days, and you're not going to have some not so great days. And it's loving yourself through each one of them, because each day matters. Each feeling matters. Each layer matters. You matter. You are incredible, regardless of however much you weigh, what your clothes say. They are just numbers. You're a person, an amazing human being that just may need a little extra love in your life right now. And it starts with you loving yourself. And as you love yourself, that love can spread throughout your whole life. And I say this with so much love because I've been there. And now I'm dealing with, some pain that has been residing in my body. And you can too, if you're ready. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for this has been one of the longest ones in a very long time. So thank you for hanging on in there and listening to the end. I appreciate you so incredibly much. Thank you for being here. And if this is something you feel others need to hear or that you'd like to share with others, if you feel called to do so, please share. Don't keep this a secret. And thank you again for taking time for you. You matter so incredibly much. Just take one step at a time, and you can heal that pain that's underneath that weight. And slowly but surely, you will feel lighter and lighter and better, and just start to focus on what feels good to you. Thank you again, and take care. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye for now.